We're here today with Minister Danny Givens Jr. with the Save Our Sons organization. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Save Our Sons is a youth organization that's located in St. Paul, is that correct?
Yes.
For people that don't know anything about the Save Our Sons organization, can you give me a little background on why it was founded or why it started or what's the purpose or the goal that Save Our Sons is in existence?
Mm-hmm. Well, Sergeant Melvin Carter Jr. and Deacon Willie Nesbitt from Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church started Save Our Sons organization as a ministry. It was in direct response to the community crisis that our youth were in, predominantly African American youth in our community, with the onset of gang violence, drugs rising in the late 80s, early 90s. There had to be a community response on some level. So from the ministerial level, they responded first, which ultimately led them to incorporate Save Our Sons as an organization. This was their direct attempt and actually a successful attempt to provide some sense of safety and solidarity for our young men in the community.
Now, you say it's for youth. Is there a certain age range that comes to the organization?
Really, a majority of our youth are teenagers. We've occasionally had some who were maybe tweeners around 12 or so, on the cusp of turning 13, but predominantly all of our youth have been in the correctional system on some level, whether it was a juvenile detention center or boys totem town, so that the cap off is usually around 18 unless they're on EJJ, extended juvenile jurisdiction, or adjudication, I'm sorry, that I think caps off at 21.
All right. So are the youth only youth that are from jail, or anybody can participate in the organization?
Primarily, it's youth that are in detention. More in recent years, we've had parents that are in crisis, have children who have got involved with gangs, or found drugs in their room and just wanted some type of intervention, or just had some telltale signs that maybe they were considering going down the wrong way, were hanging with the wrong people, and would call us in for preventative measures. So just actually last Saturday, we had a young man who was recently initiated in a gang. His parents called Mr. Carter, who is known for doing what he calls like these gang raids, where he'll bust up in the house, not literally kicking the door, but just, will come into the house and interface the child or the young man and, bring him to this place of community awareness.
Good, that's wonderful. What is your role in the program?
Well, I'm a lead facilitator in the program. I too myself have had a background in the penal system, had served 12 years in prison. And so when I was released in February of 2008, I got involved with SOS, I think a month later, just volunteering, telling my story. I was in Boys Totem Town some almost 20 years ago, maybe 15, I'm not that old. But, and so heard about Melvin Carter, was on the other side of the law, and just wanted to give back, so.
All right, so what are some of the activities? So once the youth enter the program, what's the day in the life of a person that would come to the organization? Okay.
The youth that come usually arrive from Boys Totem Town, our Saturday Academy. We have them every first and third Saturday from 9:30 a.m. until 12 p.m. And so a day would look like they would come in and do a check-in. Normally, Melvin would interface with them, just welcome them to SOS. There's oftentimes an agenda and or curriculum that supports the topic of the day if we're at our location, which is now at Gospel Temple Church of God in Christ on Marceline Grotto. Then we also do field trips off-site. So we've been to the Outback Steakhouse out in Ember Grove Heights, which is owned by an African-American man who hosts them talking about entrepreneurial skills. What does it mean to be a black business owner? We go to the Science Museum just to help them to appreciate some of the physiological and biological components of life. We've been also to a couple of the local barbershops that are owned by some young black men in the community. One of the young men actually is a success story of SOS who owns 2 barbershops. So we just really try to engage them, going to the boxing gym and teaching them about full body fitness and training. So.
Right, that's very, very interesting. So what are some of the takeaways that a youth would benefit from once they come into the program?
Well, our primary mission really is to connect the innate genius of the youth with the wisdom of the elders. So the takeaway, first and foremost, is to break down really the communication gap and or divide from the elder generation and the younger generation, which has been just almost like a misnomer in our community for quite some time. I would say 3 key takeaways is that, first of all, they will understand what it means to be an active member in our community. Secondly, what their personal role is as it pertains to themselves with community awareness, self-awareness, and then thirdly, how do they engage themselves in the community that they have either perpetrated their crimes in or are just returning back to.
Now, you say it's on Marshall and Grotto?
Correct.
Which is at Church Facility. Is that where they started?
No, actually, they've been at several locations since the inception of the program. It initially started, I want to say, at Pilgrim and Mount Olivet, and then there's been a number of churches who have opened their doors unto us in the faith community to help us to, better accommodate the youth in the community. And we've had some stationary locations. I believe Concordia College was helpful at one point in time, and we've had some kind of storefront places too as well.
Oh, right, interesting. So looking into the future, where do you envision this program evolving into? Do you see it different from today, 5 years from now, or same vision?
I believe a vision isn't a vision if it isn't a productive or progressive vision. I mean, we can have the foundation and the core principles that we hold true, but ultimately, the face of our juvenile population is changing. I mean, the crisis that they're in their social settings and at home and family and so forth and so on, that ultimately changes. So to try to confine that to one particular vision I think would be just not good on our behalf. So we envision it really growing to allow there to be an alumni for the young men who have graduated to come back and to participate, hopefully be instrumental in helping them to appreciate what education is. We believe that education is the best stimulus package. So we promote education with the young men and, taking it to the next level that, you may have did what they said you've done, but you're not who they say you are. And you don't have to allow one event in your life to define the rest of your life. So that's the vision that we foresee moving forward to.
Right. Now, how many youth do you have in the program at any given time?
At any given time, we have an average of 8 to 10. I've seen it as large as, I want to say, close to 15 before, because, as Boys Totem Town is a long-term program, but ultimately, majority of them have outdates. Mm-hmm. So they come back.
Is there ever any issue with the fact that the organization was founded by a former police sergeant or affiliated with the law?
No, actually, it gives a little more credence because within the community there's been such a breakdown in the appreciation of our police force. It's kind of a us and them. So to see the actual police officers taking an active role on the other side of justice in the community is helpful. I mean, oftentimes they're seen in a direct response to a crime or perpetrated crime, but then the aftermath is what's key. And I thank Sergeant Carter for instituting this program.
It sounds like you could use some volunteers also. How would a person help with volunteering?
Well, volunteering, they would basically contact Mr. Melvin Carter Jr. at 651-335-0734 and make an inquiry about volunteering. We're always open to volunteers or just someone who wants to come in and just share their time, tell their story, or whatever that may be, just use their gifts and talents. Right. With the young men, so we're open to that.
Very good program, and one that we definitely need in St. Paul. So, well, I want to thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise.